She didn't say it angrily. That's what surprised me. She said it calmly, almost thoughtfully. You're being controlling. Not as an accusation, as a conclusion, like she had finally figured me out. We had been together for a little over 2 years, long enough to have routines, long enough to know each other's triggers, long enough that words carried weight. At least, they used to. The conversation started over something small, too small to explode over. She told me she'd booked a weekend trip, just like that. Didn't ask, didn't mention it beforehand, just stated it. I'm going away this weekend, she said, with some friends. I looked up. Oh, I said. Where? She hesitated for half a second. Out of town. That hesitation mattered. I didn't raise my voice, didn't question her right away. I just asked one thing. Who's going? Her expression changed immediately. Not defensive, offended. Why does it matter? I shrugged. It's just a question. She crossed her arms. This is exactly what I mean, she said. You're always trying to monitor things. Monitor, interesting word. I'm not monitoring, Ischa, I replied calmly. I'm trying to understand. She shook her head. No, she said. You're being controlling. That word landed differently than she expected. Not because it hurt, because it clarified something. I asked her another question. If I booked a weekend trip and didn't tell you who I was going with, would you be okay with that? She didn't answer immediately. Then she said, That's different. Of course it was. She explained that she needed independence, that she felt smothered sometimes, that she shouldn't have to explain herself just to make me comfortable. She said relationships shouldn't feel like reporting to someone. I listened, didn't interrupt. When she finished, I said calmly, I'm not asking to control you. I'm asking to feel included. She rolled her eyes. There you go again, she said, making it about your feelings. That sentence stuck with me, because it wasn't frustration, it was dismissal. Over the next few days, I noticed the pattern everywhere. If she wanted reassurance, it was normal. If I wanted clarity, it was control. If she set boundaries, it was self-respect. If I did, it was insecurity. One night she came home late, later than usual. I didn't ask where she'd been, didn't text, didn't call. She noticed immediately. You're being weird, she said. How? I asked. You're quiet, she replied. You usually ask questions. I nodded. I didn't want to be controlling. She laughed, but not comfortably. That's when I realized something important. She didn't want freedom, she wanted a symmetry. The freedom to do whatever she wanted, and the security of knowing I was still fully invested. A few days later, she brought it up again. I really think you need to work on this, she said. The control thing. I looked at her. Okay, I said. She smiled, relieved. She thought that meant compliance. What she didn't know was that I had just agreed to take a very close look at the balance in our relationship. And once you see that clearly, you can't unsee it. After she told me I needed to work on the control thing, I did exactly that. Just not the way she expected. I stopped asking questions, not dramatically, not to prove a point. I just stopped. If she said she was going out, I said, okay. If she mentioned plans last minute, I nodded. No follow-ups, no curiosity, no reassurance seeking. At first, she seemed pleased, relieved even. She smiled more, acted lighter, like a weight had been lifted. And in a way it had, just not from her. A few days later, she left for that weekend trip, packed quickly, barely explained anything. "I'll text you when I get there," she said. "Sounds good," I replied. She paused. "That's it? That's it." She watched me for a moment, like she was waiting for something else. Concern, suspicion, control. She got none. The first night she was gone, she texted me photos. Nothing explicit, group shots, drinks on a table, a view from somewhere unfamiliar. I replied politely, "Looks fun." That was it. She didn't respond for hours. The next morning, another message. "You're really quiet." I looked at it for a while, then replied, "I didn't want to be controlling." That's when things shifted. When she came back, she was different. Not angry, uneasy. She watched me more closely, noticing that I wasn't asking the questions she had rehearsed answers for. She brought it up casually one evening. "So, you didn't really ask about the trip." I looked up. "You said you needed independence." She nodded slowly. "I do." "Then I'm respecting that," I said. She didn't smile this time. Over the next week, I applied the same logic everywhere. If she took longer to reply, I didn't ask why. If she changed plans, I adjusted quietly. If she mentioned people, I didn't probe. I treated her exactly the way she said she wanted to be treated. And that's when the discomfort started. One night she asked, "Are you mad at me?" "No," I replied. "Are you pulling away?" "I'm giving you space." She frowned. "This doesn't feel like space." I nodded. "That's interesting." She tried to reframe it, said I was being distant now, said it felt like I didn't care. I listened, didn't argue, then said one sentence. "I'm behaving the way you asked me to." That sentence hit harder than any accusation. A few days later, she tested the boundary. She mentioned meeting someone new, casually, almost carelessly. I didn't react, didn't ask who, didn't ask where. She waited. I stayed calm. "You don't even want to know who it is?" she asked. I shrugged. "Should I?" Her irritation slipped through before she could stop it. "So you just don't care?" I looked at her. "I care enough to respect your independence, hon," I said. She went quiet after that. Later that night, she tried a different approach. She came closer, more affectionate, touched my arm while talking, testing. I didn't pull away, but I didn't lean in either. She pulled back, confused. "You're acting weird," she said. I smiled slightly. "I'm acting consistent." That was when she realized something. The rules she liked only worked when they benefited her, because independence feels great until it's mutual. And suddenly, the freedom she wanted started to feel a lot like distance. At first, she tried subtlety, small comments, light jokes. "You're really in your own world lately," she said one evening, smiling. "Must be nice." I smiled back. "It is." That wasn't the reaction she expected. Then she tried concern. "Is everything okay between us?" she asked one night. "You've just been different." I nodded. "I feel fine." She waited for more. There wasn't any. That's when the tone changed. Not aggressive, frustrated. She started picking moments to bring it up. In the car, while eating, right before bed. "You don't talk to me like you used to." "You don't seem as interested." I feel like you're checking out. Each time I answered calmly. You asked for independence. I'm respecting it. This is part of it. She didn't like hearing her own words reflected back. One night she finally snapped. I don't feel connected to you anymore, she said sharply. I looked at her. You said you didn't want to feel monitored, I replied. I stopped monitoring. That's not what I meant, she said quickly. I know, I said, but that's what you asked for. She stood up and paced the room. This feels manipulative, she said. You're doing this on purpose. I shook my head. No, I said calmly. I'm doing exactly what you said would make you feel better. She stopped pacing, turned toward me. So what, you're just done trying? I thought about it, then answered honestly. I'm done chasing, I said. That hit her harder than anger ever could. Over the next few days, she escalated. She started staying out later again, mentioning names casually, posting more online, not because she wanted to go out, but because she wanted a reaction. She didn't get one. One night she came home and said casually, I ran into an old friend tonight. I nodded. That's nice. She waited, then added, he asked if I was single. I looked up briefly. And I told him I wasn't sure. That was the test, a clear one. She watched my face carefully, waiting for jealousy, for anger, for control. I felt something then, not panic, clarity. I think you should answer that question honestly, I said. She froze. What do you mean? If you're not sure, I continued calmly, then you probably already know the answer. Her confidence cracked, just a little. She tried to laugh it off. You're being dramatic. I shook my head. No, I said. I'm being honest. That night she didn't sleep well. She tossed, checked her phone, turned toward me, then away again. For the first time since this started, she wasn't sure where she stood. The next day she confronted me directly. Are you trying to push me away? I met her eyes. I'm giving you exactly what you asked for, I said. If that pushes you away, that tells us something. She went quiet, because deep down she understood. She hadn't wanted independence. She had wanted control without accountability. And now that the rules applied both ways, she didn't like the outcome. That's when she realized something important. I wasn't waiting, and that scared her. The shift didn't happen all at once. It happened quietly, in the space between conversations, in the way she hesitated before speaking, in the way she started watching me instead of assuming. One evening, she sat down next to me on the couch. Too close, not affectionate, intentional. I don't like how this feels, she said. I didn't look away from the screen. Which part? I asked calmly. She sighed. This distance. It feels like you're already gone. I paused the show and turned toward her. I'm still here, I said. I'm just not chasing. She didn't like that answer, because it didn't invite negotiation. She tried again. I never asked you to stop caring, she said. I nodded. I didn't stop caring, I replied. I stopped compensating. That word landed differently than the others. Compensating. She sat in silence for a moment, then said quietly, I feel like you're punishing me. I shook my head. I'm not punishing you, I said. I'm listening to you. The next day, she asked if we could talk. Not casually this time, formally, like someone who knew the conversation mattered. We sat at the kitchen table, phones away. She went first. I think things got out of hand, she said. I didn't mean for us to end up like this. I waited, she continued. I just wanted some space. I didn't want to lose you. There it was, the truth she hadn't said out loud until now. I looked at her calmly. You wanted freedom, I said. And certainty? She nodded slowly. Yes, I nodded too. And I realized, I continued, I can't offer both at the same time. She swallowed. So what are you saying? I took a breath. I'm saying I don't want to be in a relationship where my boundaries are labeled as control. She immediately started shaking her head. That's not what I meant. I know, I said gently, but that's how it played out. She asked if we could reset, start over, communicate better. I considered it, not emotionally, honestly, and I realized something that surprised even me. I wasn't angry. I wasn't hurt. I was done. I don't want to reset, I said. Her eyes widened. You don't even want to try? I shook my head. I already tried, I said. I just stopped doing it alone. That was when the fear showed up. Not dramatic, quiet. She asked if this meant we were breaking up. I nodded. Yes. She stared at the table for a long time, then asked, when did you decide this? I thought about it. Probably the moment I realized you felt safer calling me controlling than considering my feelings. She didn't argue after that. There was nothing left to argue about. We spent the next few days separating our lives. Calmly, no fights, no yelling, just logistics. On the day I moved out, she stood by the door, watching, silent. You're really okay with this? She asked quietly. I looked at her. I'm okay with respecting myself, I said. She didn't respond. She just nodded. We didn't block each other. We didn't make dramatic announcements. We simply stopped being part of each other's daily lives. Weeks later, I heard through mutual friends that she was confused, that she didn't understand how it ended so quietly, that she thought I'd eventually come back once the things settled. But things didn't need to settle. They had already become clear. Here's what I learned. When someone calls your boundaries control, they're often reacting to the loss of convenience. Walking away calmly doesn't feel powerful at first. It feels empty, unfinished. But over time, that emptiness fills with peace. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't try to win. I didn't need closure conversations. I just stopped participating in a dynamic where respect was treated like a problem. And that was enough.